No, you have separate accounts for those. In my retirement account and in like all those, I have systems. Everything I do is systematic trading, but I have an all-weather ETF strategy, which just means it's just trading a basket of ETFs that rotates once a month. The goal is to match the return of the market by lower the drawdown. But yeah, I never understand the right. Have a trading account, have fun with a trading account, go nuts, but then yeah, have a real account.
Why the YOLO for the retirement account?
Yeah, that should be long-term trades.
I'm not gonna put him on blast who it was. It's sometimes I see moments like that and I'm like, but like, how do you even put a tweet out like that? Like maybe you do it for your own, like kind of, your own egotistical being, but and the best part is like the other trades that he mentioned were the smart trades. I'm like, so the smart trades you put in the day trading account, the dumb one we throw it in the Roth IRA.
Sure, that makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense, right? Perfect sense, guys.
Hey. Pushing down the lows, getting close to lows here.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take some profits into this move here. I'm thinking we maybe get a little bit break here, but not breaking down. And so I'm at the point where it's like, come on, do the move. If not, gotta watch out. There's the VIX breaking a new high. So I'm still staying into this Apple trade here. It's all about China, right? I mean, if China loosens up, well, I could get screwed in this Apple trade. But if China retaliates more and comes with something else negative, that's why I'm playing Apple to the short side. Because I have a feeling that we're going to hear a response from China. The only question is, will it be a good response? Getting a little squeeze here right back in Apple, guys. So we'll see what happens. VIX starting to pull back there, but just going to hold off the risk here. SPY, we'll see if it breaks down. It hasn't broken down. It has essentially just hanging on these lows that we did at 945.
Yeah, we're holding on to the lows barely. About to get stopped out, I'm sure, on it, but yeah, holding the lows for now, which is fine because again, these more discretionary trades I'm taking hyper small while I'm trying to figure out a system. Right? Now that you all know my end goal, which is always systematize, right?
All right, guys, head and shoulders pattern not looking too bad, but I barely trust head and shoulders patterns. That's what I'm seeing on Apple. I think that wick up. So let's see if we get a whoosh down here. SPY for me can go to 525 here. Let's see if it can actually do a quick move to there. Then I'll look to see what happens, right? Will we get the recovery? But just trying to get a quick move here to make some first profit on the first trade in the new eValve account. Let's see if I can get the profits here, guys. Will AAPU start to break? There we go. First action not looking too bad here.
Yeah, the SPY is breaking pretty good here.
Just took some off there. You guys saw me take some cash there, and we'll leave the rest to work. 150. In this market, I feel like, especially in a high volatile environment, leaving a runner and then just looking to see what happens is not bad. Not a bad idea. Let's see what happens here. Can I get another break? Now I'm break even on the rest. No matter what, I'm going to win on this trade. Now trying to continue pushing in the right direction. Let's see what happens. SPY 527 showed up there. Will they get to the 525? That's what I'm kind of looking at. TLT holding in on the 9 EMA. We'll see if it rebounds off of that. Short on Apple, essentially, guys. Glad I stuck to my playbook today. Sometimes I can get distracted by things in the market, and that happens, guys, especially as someone that's kind of like, I try to lead the charge here and tell you guys a lot of like, well, defensives are up and what's up there, right? Well, I can get distracted a lot of the times by running through a million charts. So right there, looking to just continue riding the Apple. And if it comes back on me, that's okay too, right? Because I'm setting myself up for the move, and then we'll see what happens, right? That's all we can do, at least in this environment, is try to set ourselves up for success.
Yeah, just have a plan, stay laser focused on that plan and execute, right?
Yeah.
Joined last night, but it's not allowing me to log into the platform. There's nothing really we can do here, but let me just grab, you're hitting the credentials button, right? That you see on the, just grabbing this. All right, there should be a big credential button there on the platform that you joined.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
Anthony.
Make sure you're popping that, and that you're using, right, the web version, right? Download iPhone, whatever it is you decide to go on. But that, yeah, make sure you're using that. And other than that, you just have to email in if those credentials are not working. Maybe tell us a little bit more about what's going on there. But you have to download the app or use the web version. Click on the credentials there and get to her.
All right, guys,
Trading
can we get a
network.
drop here
Hello.
now? Let's see if we get it.
Yeah, the credentials button's in the top right if you're looking
Yeah.
for it when you're in your little page there.
Yeah, Anthony, let us know if you're still having issues there. Also, in the same window that you're getting your credentials on the bottom right, you can go ahead and click a trouble ticket and start like asking questions.
Yeah, but usually I've never had a problem once remember
never.
I think everything's case sensitive and all that. So there's little buttons next to
Copy
the
and
username
paste,
password.
right? Copy and paste it. Don't try to do it yourself, right?
I don't if I type it, I'll screw it up. So I just copy with those buttons. So
all right, guys, now we're looking good. Now we're starting to go for the breakdown. So at this point, I'm going to take, no matter what, a 10 tick here into the breakdown, no matter what. Now I'm putting a stop into the green, but really looking for it to start breaking down towards the 20s on. So that would mean Apple breaking the 192 here and then going towards maybe the 190. I don't think it'll maybe break the low of the 930 open, which is 188, but I wouldn't mind a move to 190, taking the profits and running. Yeah, SPY kind of holding in now, so you got to be careful for that bounce here. Might take my money and run if it bounces towards it. Stops at 2029 for me. VIX starting to come down. That's also a sign for me to just be careful there, right? The idea is to really start getting in the right direction with a new E valve. The number one thing that you can do that can give you an advantage is just have a good green day to start it off.
yeah. Yeah, and what I learned by taking these evals is just take the amount of trades you want to have that have to go wrong a row to fail you, and then divide that up and take those. And then what happens is as you get closer and closer to passing the eval, that size will just increase because you have more trades, right? So if you have $1,000 risk, maybe you start with you're risking $50 a trade. And then when you have $2,000 risk, well, now you can risk $100 a trade. And when you have $3,000 risk, you can risk, and so on and so forth. To size up, having a plan to size up when things are doing well and to size down when things are doing poorly is of the utmost important. So yeah, we're well below the pre-market low now, that 531 area on the SPY. So as long as we're below that, I think it's kind of guilty until proven innocent on things.
There we go.
Waiting for the other way around.
Good action there. Let's SPY right back down. VIX right back on the 9 EMA. So now I just canceled my stop loss. I'll still stop out break even if I need to, but looking to see if we break through the 20 now on AAPU. Of course, that's Apple breaking 192. That's why I have Apple in the front here. A lot of times when I'm trading these leverage, I put the real vehicle, what I'm trading, on the screen and just focus on that, right? Like I'm essentially doing a comparison. Should be the same action. But what did I see on this to get me excited? This is kind of inverse head and shoulders pattern where we made this little wick up here. That seemed to me like the right head, the right shoulder. Now it needs to break the neckline, which is right underneath here. And so it needs to break that like kind of 190, 150 area if I'm really going to get that move to 190. Of course,
Yeah.
short-term pattern here, but just kind of bringing it in of what it is that I'm seeing.
DJT and it is working out well.
SPY
And
hasn't been wanting to break here, so we could come back really quick here, guys. I'm starting to get that action right back quickly.
Yeah, DJT working out now. Love is working out. VERO is flat. So far, one winner, locked in, and then up a bit on all the rest, but nothing crazy.
Coming back real quick here. I have my break even stop here, guys. I even wanted to take the profits there, but it just like the spread just widened out and I wouldn't be able to get the 10 cents. So just going to get my break even stop here. I can almost feel it.
SPY
There it
flirting
goes.
with love. Yeah.
Just back and forth action on the SPY, right? But now what am I seeing on the SPY? I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts to bottom off that 527.60. So now I'm going to look at that 527.60s to see if it just gives us a bullish engulfing candle off of that. That's exactly what's setting up now. Would not break that low and would give us a move to, like, let's say 530s or 531 on the SPY. So I'll be watching to see in the next minute what happens to the closing action here. Is it below 527 or above 530? Both actions in both ways will have me reacting different ways here. So that's what I'm going to watch there on the SPY. I'm out of the Apple. Could still get back in, but at this point, there's no reason to get back in unless it breaks a 20. Then I could go for a scalp below that. SPY, this is the action that I told you guys. That's that fourth bottom. A lot of times I look for a bullish engulfing candle and I look for actions to start holding the red close. The red close is right around this 528.70 level. Look how we just undercut it. Let's see if we put a big candle to 530 and reclaim action, right? Bullish engulfing means that you're claiming kind of the range to the left. And so I want a candle that's at least this big, but essentially trying to get above that 530.
The relative and shocking, but Apple being relatively strong to the S&P 500 today.
Really weird for me to see that, right? And so that's why I kept trying to short Apple, because the pressure is on Apple. There's no clear runway on Apple, right? There's clear runway elsewhere, but they have the biggest exposure to China. I mean, it's not little exposure, it's massive, right? And they have a real conundrum on their hands with the iPhone.
Yeah, Anthony, you got to get your credentials from there. That might be a good place to get started. But see, that's the thing. That's why I don't know anything about fundamental analysis because I don't care. But like the clapback that I would hear right away is how much money does Apple make on services versus hardware sales versus this, that, the other thing. And that's
it's majority of the revenue is iPhone. So it's the biggest impact to the bottom line.
Yeah.
But so that's what I would say on that end.
Either priced in or definitely priced in, because otherwise why would it be beating the pants off the SPY on an intraday basis? So either the market is expecting something good to happen or priced in, but this is this is why I'm not smart enough to know anything about these things, because I'm with you. You think it should be getting killed, but fact is the market disagrees. So, and the market is just very rarely wrong. But yeah, if the SPY gives it up, maybe we finally get a close under.
Here comes that 192. So could have just been a bounce, got me out in Apple, and now it's going for the move there, guys. So we'll see what happens. I'll tell you one thing: the scanners and the small ones just went absolutely dead for me. So I have a scanner that's been trying to look for stocks that are up more than 5% from the open, and different things that I have attached to that. Been working some more coded scanners there on TC, trying to push to try to find some of these plays. But right now it's showing me literally only one, and it's a 3-cent stock, so it doesn't even matter, essentially.
Yeah.
There's the move on Apple that I was looking for, which is the cut to 20s, but just got cut out literally at the top. Like, I'm sure I wasn't the only one that saw that pattern. Got cut out at 2040. literally went up to 2041. So it's just how it is sometimes. But hey, at least I took the profits, and that's what matters today. It's not about getting everything right. It's about making money.
Yeah, SPY made a new low, intraday low, and then bouncing a bit. So yeah, everything's pulling back a bit, and it makes sense. It's such a massive move. This
Inside
is one of
day,
those times.
inside day on
Oh,
a lot of stocks,
yeah, well, definitely going to be an inside day. Well, I shouldn't say anything could happen, but
right? But I
most
think,
likely an inside day on the SPY.
yeah, well, I mean, on a lot of stocks overall, right? I mean, think about
Well,
it,
yeah,
right?
because
For
most will
like
end
Apple,
up
right?
moving the.
Nvidia, right? Like,
Uh,
I think we got to be looking for this action, and it actually makes sense, right? For not to take out the lows, but not to take out the high, right? And I think we got to continue to watch to see that action. That's why I think today is one of those days where it's just going to be sideways action. It's a tough day,
mhm.
not just one
Well,
of
and
those.
right, if you think about, again, most
Oh,
of these stocks that
good
you
mention,
brought up,
Steph.
one of these crazy ones. But yeah, most of the stocks you mentioned are in the S&P 500, so they're going to be
Yeah,
correlated with the S&P 500. For us to make a new high of the day, we need another 4% up move from here, and to get outside yesterday's low, we need a 7% down move. So again, I would not be at all shocked if the next couple weeks exists inside of this range of the S&P 500 for last time. That was just again, I looked at it, and this is something we can give you some bear food in a minute. I'll grab this tweet that I did. But there's only two other instances that I could find, unless you went back to like 1937 or something crazy like that.
yeah.
In recent past that we had a day that big, right? So that's how rare it is. It's just now. Let's see if I can find it. But both of these instances are not ideal.
Ah,
So let's grab them. So this is one. I was just going back. I was doing some quant work on my systems. So this is one. So the purple line is the day that we had a bigger than 10% down move. That ended up making a new low. That was in 2000, somewhere around that. And then this one was around, I think, 2008. And you can see the same thing. So that was the purple line there uh, is the other down move right there. So that was the other 10% up move. So that led to a drift up overall, but in both cases we made prior lows. And that's two names in the studies, but in both of those cases, new lows came in. So certainly could happen, right? But again, yeah, I wouldn't be really trading aggressively on either side of the market just here because 5% up move to make new highs and a 7% down move to make new lows. That's just how crazy the action was yesterday.
AREB, the one stock that got away from the scanners today. That thing has been making a jump. I was looking at it, potentially shorting it here around the 1178, guys. I'm not going to take the trade, but man, that's another rocket. There's been some rockets there. The thing about this one is that it got away from the scanner. It didn't even come in there because the way that it was doing the action, but it's been holding in there. AREB. We'll see if
Mhm.
it does go and does the breakdown. The one thing that gave me the sign of maybe a short, this thing has halted 1, 2, 3, 4 times on the upside. Still no down halt. A lot of times when we get those kinds of halts, we'll get multiple halts. We'll get down halts also, and then an up halt maybe again after that. But still not on a down halt just yet. Could go into a halt now. I mean, this thing has been halting easily when it does $1.50 move, and you're seeing it now starting to make a move. We'll see if it goes and makes a down halt move, which is right around here in a quick manner. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it was yeah. So far we're just chopping, right? So in a little bit of an uptick down, a little bit of uptick in the market. Again, it's one of those, I have to keep using this measure tool because I keep saying, the market hasn't done anything. Yeah, the SPY is down 3.6% today. So right, it's
There
a
it is.
huge volatile nothing, you know.
This wouldn't have been a bad short, guys. It's already in the halt. But
Yeah.
the only way I come after these is after I see 3 halts. Then I start to really pay attention to it. But I saw it late. So I hate when I get to a candle like right here. Like if I get to this candle here, it's a little bit different than when I get to the candle on the down action. So we'll see what happens there. AREB starting to pull back. Another one that was mentioned, SXTP. I just couldn't trust it, man. Very, very low action for the amount of volume that's come in this one. So my thing is, even though it's gotten a ton of volume, it's on up moves, it's only going about 25 cents. So that's not enough for me here. We'll see what happens. SXTP, not a bad looking daily, but just doesn't seem too exciting for me. There's some smaller ones out there.
Yeah, I'm just going through the different sectors out there, and just nothing really, right? Again, and nothing in comparison to yesterday. There's WGMI, which is your miners that are down 6%, but that's just like still halfway through yesterday's range. XSD, which is our semiconductors, are down 8%, but that's still just halfway inside yesterday's range. So these moves from a percentage basis are nuts. However, they're just not moving. One thing that's interesting, MSOS up 5% today. That is rare to see weed doing well. And not only that, it is up.
There was
pretty good from the open too.
I got you. There was a Congress Senate hearing yesterday. So there was a hearing on hemp that was given yesterday. Could be given a little bit of a lift. So I keep up with.
You guys still have hemp banned on there?
We actually don't have hemp banned. They're trying to ban it. So the problem is that what happens is there's this loophole in the hemp law, which is causing major effects on cannabis companies overall. So in cannabis, right, the actual form of cannabis, right, the form that everyone knows is THC, right? But there's THCA and there's THC, right? So THC is the active psychoactive chemical. THCA is a non-psychoactive chemical that is only activated when it's burned. So essentially, you can get around the laws of THC by having something high in THCA, which is essentially the same kind of cannabis that you would get in a dispensary, but it's only considered illegal once burned.
Okay. See, yep. I'm just the Canadian.
There you go,
here
Michael. There you go, Michael.
Well, because like hemp is so good, it can do so much stuff. It's so good for you. Like
that's the problem. And so what was given yesterday, and I even said it on I know a couple of guys. I know guys that literally go and try to bash on these representatives from us to actually help the industry. And someone came on that was an expert, right? And it's on the opposite side, but then they only wanted to talk about these THCA products instead of understanding that, hey, it's not that this gave us this, it's that we need to regulate. Regulation is important, whether you're in hemp, whether you're in, the glass industry, lithium industry, regulation is needed nowadays. People cut strings and cut corners to make money. Without regulation, you get what? Health concerns a lot of the times. In this case, that should be the prime concern. Should be not having THCA out there on gas stations where, people can buy them. That shouldn't be allowed, right? And so the focus should be that. But of course, the focus gets off of that and it gets more about different things. That's just the way that the world battles. It doesn't focus on the things that are important. Let's just say that much.
Just like, why?
SPY giving us a little lift off, man. We held through that low there. We're holding in on the 38.2% retracement level. I'm just trying to be patient. Remember what we talked about, 1030 and getting out of that. What has happened the first hour? It did go down, but it didn't go down much. And it's just been a little bit of a chop there. The VIX is actually up pretty kind of on the top end. The TLT kind of hanging out here. Let's see what happens past 10:30. It's been like this. It's the lunch algos making the money, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I'm tempted to maybe take another shot on the SPY if we get back through that kind of 531 area. Because yes, we broke it, but we didn't move too much. But part of me thinks that it's going to be chop, right? We're going to probably get back over 531 and back to VWAP and then hang out there all day. So I think just the stop would have to be too far away, which just wouldn't make the risk reward worth it, which is something you always have to consider. It's not whether or not you'll be right. It's whether your risk is going to be worth it or not. So TJT, I'm close to covering here. Not quite at the 2-day VWAP, but it's just been grinding lower. So it's been
that's a grinder, man.
Got very close to a stop out. Just up on it. And again, it feels like one of those days that I just want to take my money and just scrap up and then move on from there. But yeah, STZ was good. DJT was good. LOV has done absolutely nothing. Love sack, whatever the heck this thing is.
The love sack.
No idea what.
You don't know what the love sacks are, bro? They're super comfortable. The only thing is it's a freaking like $400, $500 beanbag.
Oh, yeah. See, must be a Yankee thing. I've never heard of a $500 beanbag.
Right?
Can you sit into when you're stoned and just $500? Yeah, you guys need a crash channel. You got too much money,
Michael. I got you, my friend. Yeah, right. The love sack.
Yeah, that was just on the trade.
They got couches also, I think, but it's just funny, man. The things that we buy.
And the last is VERO, which I'm long, and it just hasn't really moved, and that's just kind of it's just hanging out, right? So
yeah.
Venus Concept Inc., whatever this thing. But yeah, SPY's making its way back to try to break pre-market lows there. Trying.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. Man, if we break yesterday's high, which would be like a 5% up move from here, which would only get us positive on the day, you find your local bear, give him a hug. Give him a call.
I mean, look at the action from here at 10:23. Remember, we did do this wick down at 27. That was the fake out, right? The liquidity move, right? Then from the liquidity, it's been straight move up. So if I just say, forget everything over here, just focus on the action here. As long as we can hold the 9 EMA, maybe we can start to trend upwards. So.
And that feels very buy programmy, right? Just when you see candles like that just green candle after green candle after green, it just seems,
Look what's leading in the last 5 minutes. Consumer cyclical, right? And look at the action. It's very similar to the SPY, right? So I would agree with you, my friend. And look at the technology index. Very similar, right? So basic materials starting to grind higher, everything grinding higher, industrials starting to grind higher, even energy grinding higher, healthcare starting to push up. We'll see if financials start to push up, right? And so just looking through everything, and I'm starting to see grinds higher above the 9 EMAs. Let's see if this can really start to drive. Let's see what's doing well in cyclicals here. See what's starting to turn here. Some of these are down big, like footwear is down like -5% from the open. So some of these names really got hit. Some of these names really pulled back, like Crocs. Some of these names on Nike down 4%.
We got a winner thanking us for the 25K eval. Well, you earned it, bud.
Hey, congratulations, man.
3 days. Big deal. Yeah.
Congratulations, man. Definitely want to give you a shout out. Way to take it, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to pass an eval in 3 days is not an easy task. Right?
Yeah, no, and then you can now have fun with that 20,000, 25,000 eval. Maybe test a new strategy, whatever it may be for you, right? Use it wisely, have some fun, learn, right? That's what I always say. Each eval should help you learn something. If it's not, then it's not worth it, guys. make sure that you're learning. Make sure you're learning through the process, guys. If you're not learning and getting better, then you're just trying to push way too much, right? Remember, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Make sure that you think about it like that.
Got another winner. We got some winners in here.
No,
5K.
I don't want to take a speedboat ride. I want to take a cruise to that success.
That's great. Good job, guys. What a time to have that contest, right? Obviously, we had no way of knowing that it would be a couple of like
3
days.
It was the 3-day most epic buy the dip opportunity in history, and we called it a competition. Hey, shout out to whoever thought about that on Trade the Pool. Give them a little wink. Shout out to them out there.
Well, and next time we do a competition, maybe a little bit of warning, because maybe we should have been buying the dips in our real account. And right, if we're going to trade on these competitions, crazy things are going to happen.
I mean, I think about it this way. I had multiple opportunities in the last 2 days with the sizing that I had on. If I made it through, those were $20,000 trades both days. 2 days in a row.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy.
There was money to be made, right? It's just more, how can we do it, right? And then maybe figuring out a way to not be so greedy so that you could get that cash. Maybe it wasn't the 20. Maybe it was splitting that in half to 10, right? But there was definitely money to be made. And I think that the important part is you needed to be able to be low accurate, waiting for the winner, the bigger one, right?
Yeah.
And that is tough as a trader, to be 20% accurate and then still make a hell of a lot of money, right? It's just about risk to return a lot of the times, guys, and you have to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's about waiting and being patient. That's what it was. It's about patience towards the later part of the day, middle part of the day. And what I've noticed more and more is in times of uncertainty, the middle part of the day and the end part of the trading day matter 10 times more than the opening action. The opening action is used to drive emotions. And so in times of uncertainty, just might make sense to avoid the open.
Yeah, well, again, I know a lot of traders that do that all the time. I told you, one of the most successful day traders I know, and part of this is just his laziness. He lives in the West Coast, so he ignores.
Just wakes up later. Just wakes up later.
Yeah, he gets up and he doesn't trade till afternoon. So like 1 Eastern is when he'll start to place trades. And he loves it because he's like, I have the whole morning. I get to look at everything that's happened in the morning, all the craziness. He picks a spot on 3 or 4 trades. He sets out the orders and then he just walks away, right? And then closes them on the close. And so it's an interesting way to do it. I love it. I love any time that someone starts doing the complete opposite of the conventional wisdom, which is that you have to be super active off the open. And what he does a lot of fading of these really overextended moves. So he looks for stocks that from the open are up 20, 30, 40% or down 20, 30, 40%. And then he's just got a strategy to play those reversals, basically looking for retail to take their profits into the end of the day. And just, again, completely sitting out the morning, and he feels great. It's like, right, everyone else is stressing all morning. He's like, I'm getting up and going to the gym and doing whatever I want, sit down at noon and take a couple shots.
Starting to look better out there, guys. It's starting to look better.
Yeah, that 531
shots. No.
531 is a big deal. So we tapped that once and we pulled off it, and now we're back to it. So
through again, looking interesting.
If we're talking to the most hilarious outcome would be us taking out the high of yesterday and just ripping. That would be the funniest. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be the funniest outcome. There'd be so many people caught off guard that probably shorted into today and just said, okay, the market needs to breathe a little bit. The way to hurt them the most would just be to rip it through that high. And can we say about how Fartcoin led everything yesterday? I was joking when I was on stream. I remember bringing up the chart, but even when the world was coming to an end,
Should have YOLO'd, man. Put it in the Roth.
I told you I have an unreasonable amount of fart coin.
The fart coin, man. The fart coin.
I have the five figures into fart coin, which again is just absolutely hilarious to me. But yeah, we were talking about, hey, it was holding up well. It was strong even before the announcement happened. Ended up having a 50% up day yesterday. So again, it's funny monetarily wise. I think this is the position that made me the most money yesterday. It was just I don't even know what world I'm totally buying into simulation theory at this point.
It's a matrix, man. We're living in the matrix, whether you want to or not.
This thing
living in a simulation, man. When bear markets can come in 2 weeks and get erased in 10 milliseconds. Yeah. We're in a simulation, guys. We're living the simulation here.
So, right, if you look at the 51 or the 1618 extension, which is generally just a target for things move, that puts us at $4 a share. Again, I'll be a very happy man. I already have the money pegged of what I'm going to buy if we get up there, and I'll show you guys. It'll be hilarious. But
gold taking off. Gold trade taking off here. I've seen that jump up, guys. AU now almost at 39s. Straight up move there. Gold making moves. I also would take a look at silver now with that move, right? Silver going to do the move. Not looking too bad there. Not looking too bad. I kind of like AG to see if it maybe holds 6 and then makes a move above 610. But just looking into which silver play to kind of go after, right? You also got MAG.
Told by my crazy prepper friends, if you're going to trade a silver ETF, you do PSLV as opposed to SLV, because PSLV holds the physical asset.
Yeah, the physical. Yeah.
And then SLV holds basically futures contracts. So that might be one to take a look at.
Apple holding in, guys. Apple holding in. That's the weird sign. That, to me, I think Apple's a good indicator today to watch, because if the pressure is on any stock, I think it's on Apple, right? It's still not. Their tariffs have not gotten lifted, yet the stock is lifted. So keep watching that. I think it's important.
And this is the area I was watching here in the SPY. We're rejecting it again, at least for now. Again, this is just the pre-market low. It was the low back here, it was low over here, it was low here. I didn't have to get too fancy with it. We continue to kind of pop from that level, so we can get through there. That, again, the funniest outcome, the most hilarious outcome, is us breaking all the way up here at 448. But that's a percentage move.
I think you continue to watch maybe the I can't live without trade to see how that kind of works. Walmart doing really well for putting a warning out yesterday. So just stating that, right? People are not going to go away from Walmart. And if the tariffs are going to go down, it's just going to be a troubled economic cycle. Well, Walmart can still do really good in that environment.
And the beauty, if the tariffs go down, I think what everyone's so excited about is that if the tariffs go down and then you start to see a little bit of economic slowdown, well, the Fed's got a lot of ammo they can play with. They can drop rates tons. But the problem with having the tariffs being inflationary and then having the economy being recessionary, it really, kind of screwed the Fed. So everyone, I think, is looking at it and saying, okay, we can deal with a normal economic slowdown. We do it all the time. It's very easy. You drop interest rates a point or two, and all of a sudden that economic slowdown goes away and everyone's fine. But to do that, again, the tariffs need to be lifted, just because you can't lower interest rates in a tariff environment, which is an inflationary environment. You just can't do it. So
name that I would keep a watch. I'm watching ACI. I think it's a very important name to watch. And watching Albertsons as a potential stock that could get a run. I've talked about this on Trader TV on Tuesday with Kroger. And just looking for trades that I think could do well in a tough environment. It's Kroger, ACI, Walmart, Costco, all doing really well. ACI, I think, hasn't really made the move, but it's one that I'm going to continue to watch. One of the things that has happened at ACI, of course, it didn't do the merger that it wanted to do, but it has made a lot of investments into e-commerce, online kind of aspects. So I think this could turn things around. Of course, it was supposed to go with Kroger and kind of turn things around. But what have I seen? I've seen a ton of volume pickup on ACI, telling me more and more this seems more like a bet of like a Warren Buffett or style investor, which is looking into the fundamentals, thinking that things could get profitable and start to turn around the business. ACI, interesting trade there. Walmart, of course, ripping. Costco ripping. Names definitely continue to watch there. Look how Costco went from 900 to 1,000 right back up. So Costco always seems like an interesting bet off of monthly support or weekly support. And that's exactly what happened here in Costco. People betting off the monthly around the 900 level and right back to the upside. I see it happen a lot of times.
Always gets me, man. Just imagine. Hey, you bought this thing as it made new highs in 1989. I was too busy being 4. It's at 31,000.
Michael, I still look at this as like, man, sometimes you can pick the wrong job to work as when you're young. You should have definitely been working at Costco, getting the stock match, putting literally 50% of the money you were making as a kid into that. And today you would be looking at back and being like, yep, that's what I'm talking about. And another one, AutoZone. That's the other one that I look back at like this similar chart. And I'm like, dude, how are the workers not getting as much as they can of this stuff?
Wow.
Right? Like you would literally make yourself a millionaire from making like maybe $50,000 if you just invested your money in this thing.
40% gain.
It's crazy, right? I mean, it's no little gain there. And charts like this tell you more and more that you should be looking at investments on stocks like this that are continuing to see upside potential and continuing to drive higher. Another big story like that in our lifetime is Booking. Booking is definitely another one like that too, right? Booking Holding. It's a stock that you can't even trade now. Well, at least a lot of people feel that way because it's just too expensive. Burke, similar, too expensive. And people don't go after it. But does it keep performing? I mean, it does, man.
Well, especially now, like I hate that. I wish I could find everyone who's like, I don't want to trade stocks over a certain dollar value and just like sit down with them for a few minutes because it doesn't matter, right? You just you can get fractional shares now. You could buy one, one percent of right 1/100th of whatever. You could you could work your way up to one share over time. Like it's all about percentage gains. It's not about if you're putting $10,000 into something, it's whether it's one share or a million share, it doesn't matter.
So one thing that I think is important there, a little learning lesson for all those guys out there that probably have young kids out there, is tell them to look into stock purchasing programs wherever you're working, and tell them to also maybe look at a company that you think will really kick ass in the next 10 years, right? Because working at those companies might not give you the most profits of like how much they're paying their workers, but you couldn't get the share program and start to really kind of boost your outlook on life, right? I mean, I think it's something definitely to think about, guys. Getting a lot of love in the chat and a lot of action in there. That's what I love to hear, guys. Like always, we like to talk about different things, and I think it's really interesting to think about that perspective. I always think about the
right, and we talk about this all the time. When the market's going crazy and trading is abound and there's a lot to do, we're usually laser focused when the market's moving. But like we talked about, right off the open, we both expect this kind of action today. Not a lot, right? Not a lot happening. So, and it's probably going to be that way all day. Again, the funniest outcome is us making a new high, but there's such a low probability that we're going to rally another 6% from here to get there. I'm not kind of betting on that one way or the other. So, but yeah, as much as I think these things are scams, which I do think these things are scams, it seems like none of these companies actually make anything. I don't know, it's getting real tight here on Rigetti, and it's starting to just pop out of this. So I've got my eyes on it. Right? It could be one of those irrational, longer than you can remain solvent things. We could get a little pop into the, maybe challenge highs here is a double. So that's pretty wild. Stop and lows here. It's still like a 30% drawdown you'd have to go to take that. But it's an interesting idea. I'm looking for a lot of things like this that held up okay. Just using the 200-day moving average, for example, held up okay in the down markets, and now are performing pretty good and starting to break out. And these are potential swings. So yeah, Regretti's one of those for sure.
All right, guys. I think I'm going to take a shot here on an Apple short here. We'll see what happens here. If we can start to see the SPY kind of come down. I'm not seeing it kind of get back up there and hold here. And so part of me is thinking that we might just come back and test the support here. If we come and test the support, maybe I can get the trade that I've been looking for in Apple. So I'm going to take the shot here and see what happens.
Yeah, trying to get back under VWAP. But Farcoin's rallying a bit, so the real risk on market indicator is telling us to buy stuff. Nuts.
I pretty much just want to risk a little bit of what I've made today. So I'm gonna risk a decent amount. I'll risk like $30 on this and just see if I can get the trade, right? Regardless, I end up in the green, but I want to take a shot at least towards the end of the day here. And what did I say? After that 10:30 spot, right? Now we're 10:44. We've seen trends in the market hold. We haven't just seen a ripping rally back, and that tells me more and more that we could be more into that inside day, maybe a little bit further leak. Not an insane leak I'm expecting here, but just a little bit to just try to keep the chop going, right? So you gave a little bit of a lift. Now you come back down, a little bit of a lift. And I think that we're going to play this game all day long. And that's why I think it's so important to look towards the close to see if the VIX just collapses towards the close. That's part of what I'll be watching for, right? Do we get some kind of VIX collapse at the end of the day? So big push at the end of the day is what I'm looking for. To see if the big boys just come back in after the chop. All right, we'll see what happens here. VWAP right back in on Apple.
Yeah, holding that VWAP there.
It's just sitting there on the VWAP and a lot of stocks there. So we'll see what happens. SPY, though, rejected VWAP and still on the lower end. Never got above VWAP, really. And so that's another reason why I'm still in a little bit of pullback look. Short term, not looking for big collapse, but trying to jump on something that could see a little bit of a move. Another name that I wanted to watch today was Dell. It's kind of been sideways here. I think you continue to watch that name because it took such a beating. And it still has exposure. You know what I mean? It still has giant exposure to China too. So it's just one name to watch there. But big day yesterday. I mean, 16% day.
Yeah, what a big, good relative weakness, right? In this versus the, and I'm using the 2-day VWAP to basically show how much of yesterday's craziness did it retrace. And yeah, Dell is definitely on the weaker side of things. This cannabis ETF just continues to grind higher, so it's definitely something I want to take a look at.
All right, let's see if I can get that move. Can the SPY, is it going to hold the 9 EMA on the 5 here? We're going to reject it. I think it's a big look if you break 527, but we'll see what happens there. TLT's been sideways here, just holding on. We'll see what happens. How the bonds looking there. Not sure if we're seeing any action there.
Yeah, haven't moved all day. Still inside the first 30-minute range.
That AREB, sometimes I need to make an account, like an account to try to start capitalizing on these. I think it would be very, very small sizing that I would have to take these. But man, I sometimes call these really good. Where like this one was a pretty dang good look off of this, 4 kind of outlook. You start to see the breakdown. And right here, it bounced towards 12. I just wanted to risk off the top end of the day. It would have been about 50-cent risk. So you need to be able to use that, right? But from even there towards where we are now after the down holds that have happened, I mean, this thing is down $2.6. So just got to think risk and return wise, right? If I can make 2 points or 2.5 points, can I risk 0.5? Things like that.
Yeah, there's I talked to a lot of successful traders who do just this. That's their whole mission and plan is just waiting for these junky names that just get too crazy to go down.
Yeah,
It's not for
and
me, but good luck. But yeah, a lot of people works really well.
yeah, and especially on a platform like us, right? They are not so worried about the borrowing costs. That's the
Mhm.
major aspect that I think gives you the advantage here, is that you're not having to worry of, well, this cost me so much to even take the trade, right? So things like that. All right, guys, we'll see if the SPY can break the 527s now. We're going down pretty quickly here, but it's not a big breakdown. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I still think this is just a leak type of on the daily, right? Where are we going to get to? Is it the 50% spot? That puts us down towards like 523, 524s. And I feel like that makes sense. I feel like that makes sense. Retrace 50% of the rally and then look to see if the big boys come back in. That's what I'll be looking at in swing sense, right?
Yeah, again, this kind of chop is exactly what we thought was going to happen. And again, I'd love just to turn and have it rip to new highs today because I think it'd be hilarious. And I'm long a bunch of stuff, but it's just not
That's
this
true.
back and forth. This back and forth action, I think, again, not just today. I think for in the next couple of weeks, barring some, and he wakes up, changes his mind again, and wants to throw tariffs on anything, or some sort of deal with China or something. I think we are going to be in this kind of chop slop type action, just because we've had such a big move. There's going to be so many people looking to take profits, and so many people looking to buy the dip. So every time we dip, we'll be buyers. Every time we rally, there'll be sellers, and it will just make this mess go on, unfortunately, for probably quite a bit longer. So we just kind of we sit and we wait, right? We take our shots. I took my couple trades today. DJT worked and got a couple bucks out of that. And STZ worked. So I got a little bit of that. This VERO is not doing anything. So that's no fun. And then same with Love. Love really hasn't done anything either. So probably just kill those as when the stream comes to an end, and just take my two winners, and the other ones are just kind of whatever, and just walk away for the day. And that's, I think, going to be the game plan for the next week or so. Take a couple bucks and just move on. Wild action.
All right, guys. So I'll show you guys what I'm seeing on Apple's chart here. Kind of drew it out on the 15 minutes so I could show you guys it here. So when I look into this chart here, if I zoom in on the recent action here, especially this action here, that's where I'm looking at it. I'll show you guys it here. I drew it on this one. So you guys can see how we rejected that area up here. So this would be the area where I think, you can go green and really kind of drive higher. But we kept rejecting that area, and now we're starting to break back below the VWAP here. Support could be right off of this kind of closing action in the morning. So I'm looking to see if we can just break back towards this low. If we break back towards this low, yeah, that could be that in between kind of candle on the hourly where we start to go back into this spot 188.44s. But if you actually look at it, I mean, overall, it's still a bullish pattern, right? We're holding in, but we're pulling back, right? That's what I see. Overall bullish pattern, but still pulling back on the day.
Yeah, everything's pulling back just a bit. Again, the SPY is still trapped under that pre-market low. Every time we try to break it, there's a seller there. So again, until we got a big move, just not interested in,
all right, there
taking
you go,
anything
guys.
alongside.
All right, guys. Today might be the day where I just take the money and run here, but we'll see what happens. Not a bad little move on this. I think the SPY could still bounce back towards where I'm at, so I might just take the cash here and then look to see if I get a bounce to play again. But I'm probably just going to take the cash and run here, guys, especially on the first day of the account. I'm just trying to make money and keep it going, right? Especially the first day. I think it's so important to get a cushion. I took the money there, guys. We'll see what happens. Could put a stop maybe at the 20 and then just look to see it, let it work. But taking the cash there, guys, not a bad trade there. We'll look to see if we still get a little bit of leak. We might just get a bounce here off of the lows. So didn't want to be kind of chasing too much there. We'll see what happens there if the SPY breaks down there. VIX kind of getting a little bit of a jump to 75. This is why I'll be watching later in the day to see if the VIX gets back into an area where it's like a trend line approach and then just rejects and doesn't come back to this level, right? That's where we can get a VIX kind of meltdown look, right? So we're getting this trend line approach where it starts to look a little bullish, but if it can't make it past this 80 and it starts to head right back towards 62, I think you can start seeing that meltdown look where the VIX starts making its way back to 60s and 40s, at least the VXX, right? Overall VIX would just be a similar move. It would just be kind of a little bit different, right? So you can also look at the VIXY. It's very similar setup, right? Trying to get back there. We'll see what happens on this one.
Yeah, SPY just continuing to bleed, but when we pull back into prior day's low, there's buyers there. So it's again just this back and forth type action.
It was interesting to see Nike drop that much, right? Nike, quick drop on Nike. That thing's been really weak today. Retail, kind of really weak. Interesting to see that. There are some names that held. I think Burke held. Yeah, Burke is holding pretty well. But some of these names really came down.
This goes back to the poor interns that maybe they got outside maybe they got let out of the Goldman basement for just a minute. But yeah, they're probably shoved back down there and said, okay, now you got to redo all your models. The tariffs have changed again.
Oh, so good Lord. Can you imagine?
And it is.
Can you imagine getting that email? Can you imagine getting that email this morning and being like, well, all the work you did yesterday, we appreciate all that work, but it's all in the trash now. And we're doing something else.
There. Yeah. Now you got to go through every shoe company that's ever existed. And I need to know, like, I don't know where they get their glue from. Does that come from China? Where do they get the sole? Where do they get the laces from? Where do all and there's a whole army of them down there. And I know because I've been in these funds, I've been in these buildings. They scoop these guys right out of university, and they call them mushrooms, right? We keep you in the dark and feed you shit. And it's just, they throw them in the basement. And they go, listen, we've got this monumental project that has to be super manual. More and more of this will get passed off to AI as the as they get better, but still you'd still want a human being going over them, right? So just go and dump a financial report in there, ask them where they source these things from. But quite often it's really hard to figure it out, right? It's you need to go through like 5 or 6 different there's steps removed. Like it's like the whole Kevin Bacon thing. Like how many steps removed are you from China, right? Because you might say you get all your shoe parts from Thailand, but where do they get their raw materials from? Where do they get, right? So it's again, I am so glad that I decided to become a technician and a quant because I don't have to care about any of those things. But there's a lot of people out there that have to worry in great detail about all these things just to find which stocks are going to be the tariff winners, which are going to be the tariff losers, all that.
Well, you gotta have them. You gotta have them. He's my quantitative, my math specialist. Right. He's my quant. I don't do decisions. I let him do the math.
Yep, that's why. And it is a much better life, I'll tell you, as someone who did the discretionary trading thing for years and slowly got more systematic. It's how you want to live life.
You know what? We're gonna have to do a little bit of a team competition. We've talked about this in the background, guys. A team trading competition. We might have to do it. We might have to do it just to have some fun. All right.
Wait till auto trading. Let's wait till we get the auto trading up, and then I'll go. I'll build like 10 different models. And I'll just
let's go. Apple continuing to fade. The SPY going for that 527 move. Now going for those lows. We'll see if it breaks the low, right? You could get an undercut and a little bit of a pushback. But Apple breaking down there. Maybe took a little bit too fast cash, but I'm not mad. I'm taking cash. That's what matters, especially after a rough time. One of the things for certain after you've been having a rut, one of the number one ways to end the rut, get green on the screen. And it's not worrying so much about getting a lot of green, right? I think that's what usually happens a lot of the times when you're in rut. You're trying to work your way back. One of the best ways to do it, just give yourself a green day and not push it, right? And that's the one thing that I feel a lot of traders do, even when they're struggling to go and have a good trade, but then they're like, I got it back. I got this. No, that's usually what it is, and is that you can fall into a good winning trade every now and then, guys. And so don't forget that sometimes luck has something to do with your trading also, guys. And so you have to sometimes just be like, hey, I just want to take a win today. And taking the win sometimes is a good kind of things for your confidence, and especially when you're starting to see a little bit of a struggle, right? So we'll look to see what happens. RSI now really kind of showing that dip there on Apple. Now we're going back to that 190. We could take out that low. And then the trade that I was going after, AAPU, now starting to come down to that 1950s level, right? What helped me today? Well, waiting to get through that 1030 time, right? If I wouldn't waited to that 1030 time, I would have got stopped out on Apple. Guaranteed, guys, guaranteed. So, hey, just goes to show me more and more that the first hour of the day is not helping traders right now. It might be hurting traders, right? So just be careful out there, traders.
Yeah, the first hour of the day has always increased volatility, but when you already have insane volatility, playing the time with the increased volatility might not be the move. Right? When markets are slow, maybe you do a little bit more of that trading because your volatility is a little lower, but yeah.
And there's a SPY breaking that 527 and going back to 526. Where could we be going to? Let's see if we get back towards that 50% retracement level, right? Puts us back closer towards right around the 523 level. That's where I'll be looking to see if the market can kind of hold. If I see it holding around 523 in the afternoon and then starting to make a drive into the close, that could be a good sign that we're starting to see buying off of that retracement level, right?
Yeah.
And I know I'm not the only one that knows the 50% retracement levels. Of course, one of Steve's favorite, and I can tell you guys, I know multiple channels and streams that talk about 50% retracements. I like the sweet spot between the 50 and the 61.8, but that might be just because I'm technically leaned into for the golden mean. But we'll see what happens. The dogs are barking. The dogs are barking out there. So you guys be safe in the markets.
See you guys.
See you next time, team.